The year is 1975 again, the year progressive rock reached for the stars, a year of bold ideas, spawning concept albums and fearless experimentation. These weren't just records, they were worlds built in sound. Today, I'm traveling through 10 more masterpieces that shape music history forever. From Jethro Tull's storytelling magic to Vangelis's cosmic symphonies, this is the definitive journey through progressive rock. Prog rock and classic rock at its absolute creative peak. Stay with me if you will, because by the end you might just find your next favourite record to add to your collection. And as a reminder, these were the omissions from that first video, and these have been suggested by you guys out there. And I'm starting this time with Minstrel in the Gallery. Can't believe I forgot this one. Ian Anderson and his band took the medieval imagery of Thick as a Brick and turned it inwards. Minstrel in the Gallery was a blend of fiery electric riffs and delicate acoustic passages, a portrait of a performer wrestling with fame. Now, the title track burst with energy, alternating between intimate verses and thunderous solos. Critics at Melody Maker called it Anderson's most personal and poetic work to date. Tracks like Baker Street Muse stretch the boundaries of songwriting, complex yet deeply human. Anderson once said, "It's all about being both the jester and the fool on the stage of life." Now, if you love the narrative-driven prog rock albums, then this one's an absolute essential. I strongly recommend you grab the remastered CD or stream it through the link below in the description. The 5.1 mix is really quite stunning. Like Oldfield's Omadorn was the sound of solitude really turned into beauty. It was recorded largely alone in his home studio. It layers guitars, ukulele and pipes and African drums into a seamless 40-minute suite. Rolling Stone was high in its praise of its emotional purity, whilst The Guardian also later called it a timeless escape from modern chaos. I like that one. The centrepiece, this first side on the Dawn Part 1, really unfolds like a dream. It's slow, organic and really quite hypnotic. Oldfield himself has described the process as healing myself through sound. It's really a record to experience in one sitting, with headphones on and the lights low. Support the artist and revisit the true classic rock masterpiece. Links to the vinyl, CD and streaming are all in the description. Now, with Scheherazade and Other Stories, Renaissance brought elegance to progressive rock. Annie Haslam's beautiful, soaring, 5-octave voice and lush orchestration turned her 1890s really into musical theatre. That epic song of Scheherazade, a 25-minute suite on side 2, remains one of Prog's grandest achievements. Sounds magazine praised it as progressive rock with a painter's brush, vibrant and cinematic. It's a good shout, that one. Every note feels handcrafted, the strings, the piano and harmony all blending in perfect balance. Annie Haslam once said, "We weren't trying to be heavy, we just wanted to be beautiful." Now, if your heart leans towards symphonic prog rock, then this really is your fairy tale in sound. Haunting, emotional and mature. Ghosts found Straubs diving into introspection. The title track moved from eerie atmospherics to really rousing folk rock energy, capturing the tension between the spiritual and the real. Melody Maker's Chris Welsh described it as a brooding gothic triumph. Songs like Grace Darling show the band's softer side wrapped in mellotron warmth. Dave Cousins explained a little more. "We were writing about shadows, both personal and historical. It's an album that rewarded close listening and one of 1975's hidden prog rock gems." Before the mega hits, Kansas had delivered this sweeping, patriotic-themed record. Song for America was muscular American prog rock with heartland grit to it. The title track opened with a majestic organ and violin interplay, an anthem to the country's vast landscapes. Billboard had described it as ambitious and deeply melodic, noting how they fused complexity with accessibility. Kansas guitarist Kerry Livgren said, "We were proving that American bands could do progressive rock our own way." But before Blade Runner, but before Chariots of Fire, Vangelis released Heaven and Hell. Now, this album was pure cosmic theatre, a progressive rock symphony of synths, choirs, and imagination. That soaring movement 3 introduces audiences to his collaborations with John Anderson of Yes, whose vocals glided above Vangelis' orchestral power. Mojo claimed it as a visionary fusion of classical form and electronic future. How right they were. Vangelis himself had said, "Music should be an emotional universe, really without borders." It's cinematic, it's spiritual, and it's endlessly replayable. A must-have for prog rock and ambient fans alike. Now, no 1975 retrospective list would ever be complete without A Night at the Opera from Queen. It was not only one of the greatest classic rock albums ever, it was also deeply progressive in ambition and also scope. The obvious Bohemian Rhapsody, of course, changed rock forever, but every track from The Prophet Song to Love of My Life really showed the band's daring artistry. New Musical Express have called it a masterpiece of operatic rock and studio perfection. Freddie himself described it as saying he wanted to make the definitive album, the one nobody could copy. Well, I think they did that. It's flamboyant, it's emotional, and it's really impossible not to love. Check the links below in the description to experience it again in its remastered glory. Steve Hillige's debut, Fish Rising, is a joyful explosion of psychedelic progressive rock energy. This one was backed by members of Gong, and Hillage created an album that really sounds like a sunrise in sound. The track Solar Music Suite is a 17-minute journey of soaring guitar tones and shimmering synths. Record Collector magazine praised it as a cosmic voyage, radiant with optimism. Hillage described it as, "I wanted to express pure positivity through sound. I think we'll all agree, mission accomplished." Fish Rising is a feel-good listen from start to finish, a real hidden gem from 1975. Now, I think you need to leave it to Yes keyboard wizard Rick Wakeman to turn medieval legend into rock opera on ice, literally. Performed at Wembley Arena with full orchestra, choir and ice skaters, King Arthur is one of the boldest prog rock albums I think ever conceived. Critics at Sounds magazine call it audacious, theatrical and unapologetically grand. One of the highlights for me, the last battle, really mixes up those classical motifs with hard rock power. Waitman once joked, "It's only rock and roll if there's a castle involved." The album defies the word epic, and it still sounds gloriously over the top today, but darn right good. Todd Rundgren's Initiation pushes boundaries, really even by prog standards. Side A offers soulful, futuristic songs. Side B, though, the 35-minute synth suite, A Treatise on Cosmic Fire, is pure electronic transcendence. Rolling Stone had noted its audacious blend of pop, philosophy and science fiction. Rundgren said, "I wanted to see how far music could go before it stops being music." Now, it's adventurous, it's immersive and still ahead of its time, a perfect close to our 1975 journey. Now, this wasn't just another year, it was the heartbeat of an era when musicians dared to dream bigger really than ever before. From Pink Floyd and Genesis to Yes and King Crimson, the influence of these records still echoes across modern prog rock and classic rock alike. Each of these albums is a piece of living history, and you can still own them, play them, and experience them exactly as their creators intended. You might have to look quite closely for some of the copies though, but just check out the links in the description to purchase any of these amazing albums. Every version has its own magic really, and supporting these timeless records really keeps great music alive. Because here, we don't just listen to music, we rediscover it. Now thanks for watching this second part of these outstanding albums from the year 1975. And on screen now is that first video I did from that year. And I know it's one that you'll enjoy it if you haven't yet seen it. And until next time, keep listening, keep exploring, and remember, in the world of prog, the journey really never ends.